To say it's been an interesting 2 weeks for the Sonic fandom would be an understatement, because of the fact that a week ago, this past Tuesday, going to be 2 weeks this upcoming Tuesday, but a week ago, this past Tuesday, Ncircle released the complete series of Sonic Satam. Unfortunately, what many fans felt was going to be a problem once the announcement was made several months ago ended up being such a problem. Due to the fact that unlike the original 2007 Shout Factory release, which included the fans' involvement from, the artwork to the bonus features to being acknowledged for making this, making that release, I should say, happen, instead, Ncircle decides that instead of doing a proper release and maybe going with 4 to maybe 5, 6 discs, if you will, or even 3 at the most, they decided to cram all 26 episodes onto 2 discs. And that obviously did not help. And most of all, they didn't even use a dual layer DVD, which probably would have helped in the bit rate department, if you will, and picture quality. Instead, it was single layer, MPEG 2, and apparently the presentation was crap. And if that's not enough to convince you they didn't put a lot of effort into this, how about the fact that even the artwork they used for the slipcover and the actual DVD case itself is recycled from the previous releases of the show? Now, with all that said, could it be stated that the Sonic fandom was not happy? Absolutely. Every fan that felt and feared, that this might happen, hoping that maybe it may not, hoping that maybe Ncircle would be like, yeah, let's put this on a dual layer disc. If we're going to do 2 discs, let's put them on 2 dual layer discs. But instead of the single layer, which they did. Could it be stated that they were upset? Absolutely. Fans from, Sean McLean, Zara Ncircle of the Multimedia Chronicles, to Richard Anthony, who is not Richard Kunta. I do, apologize for that mistake. If you listen to the other videos and audio videos that I did recording and on camera, and I mentioned Rich, and I mentioned maybe who I think it is, I do apologize. Obviously, they're not one and the same, and if they are, let me know in the comments. Anyway, even Richard was upset. Basically, Jacob Berkeley was upset, the Satam historian. He wasn't happy. A lot of people were pissed. And why? Because basically Ncircle, when they announced they were doing this, said that the release date would be a day after the actual 30th anniversary of this iconic show. That's right, a day after. And as noted by Sean McLean and others have pointed this out as well, Sonic Satam helped inspire the later portions of the ever popular Genesis record holding Archie Sonic book, from basically, I would say, issue 25, onward. It inspired it in a big way, and you could see it. And yet, here you have Ncircle coming out and crapping the bed on the entire fan base. Crapping the bed on giving us a decent presentation. Here's what's interesting. When they released Sonic Underground, they did 4 discs. Because one, they knew it was 40 episodes, but they still kind of screwed up there too. Because with 4 discs, what did they do? They put 10 episodes on 4 discs. 10 episodes, that's all 40 episodes on 4 discs. Now you may say, oh, well, that's not too bad. That's 3 episodes less than 13. That's true. That's true. But here's the thing, though. They may have done that, but still, obviously the bit rate and the picture quality is not up to snuff. Like, basically, in a way, it looks okay, probably better than the Satam set, but it's not up to snuff. Like, you could have done better. Shout Factory did better with the release. That's right, Shout Factory did better with the release. Deke Entertainment, now WildBrain, did better with the individual Sonic releases. They did. They did. You know, with under the Animation Station label. You know, they did. And everybody knows it. But apparently Ncircle, you know, here's the thing. They put effort into all the individual Satam volumes that they put out. Even if the episodes were out of chronological order, they put a lot of effort into these, you know, into these sets. And yet, for some odd reason, even though those episodes were like 4 or 5 episodes a disc, which was okay for DVD, you know, you would think they'd do the same for the complete series, but they didn't. You'd think they would do the research and look at the history of a previous complete series release for the series and be like, oh, okay, let's copy that. They didn't. They decided, they're not going to care. If it's got Sonic on the name, it'll sell. And what do? They just lazily slap it all together. You know, they just lazily slap it all together. And again, like I said, this got a lot of fans angry. Because, you know, even though some would say they seem to put more effort in Underground, again, that's kind of not true. Because if they did put effort into Underground would have had more than just 4 discs. They would have had maybe 6 discs or even 8 at most. And possibly 2 separate volumes. That would have been better. That would have been better. As a matter of fact, Ncircle has done that before. Ncircle, originally, when they re-released Sonic Underground as a complete set, they did it in volumes. In fact, I have one of the volumes with me right now, and that's volume 1. And it's by Ncircle. So they know what to do. They know what to do. They could have done the same with Sonic Satam. They could have said, okay, here's Sonic Satam Season 1. You know, here's all the episodes, 2 different discs. You know, 6 on each, 7 on each, done. Not a problem. And then maybe months later, they could have released Season 2 of the Volume 2. Not a problem. Oh, even simultaneously. Here's Volume 1, Season 1. Here's Volume 2, Season 2. Not a problem. Not a problem, if you will, if you're releasing them on individual disc, 2 each. You know, where you have 6 episodes here, 7 episodes there. Not a problem. And fans would be more accepting of that because at least you're showing you do give a damn. You know, you do give a damn, but apparently here they didn't. Again, they just said, hey, Sonic, it's got Sonic's name on it. Let's just slap it all together and send it out. That's it. That's it. That's all they did. Same with Underground. Underground basically got that similar treatment. The only thing that saved it in people's eyes is it's only, 10 episodes on each disc, and it's 4 discs. But that's still, just enough to lower the bit rate and the picture quality to where, yeah, it's viewable, but not at the standard fans would expect. You look at the Shout Factory releases, of all these shows previously, and there's effort put into those shows. The people at Shout Factory knew what the heck they were doing. They did. In fact, the people that did a previous complete series release of Adventures before Discotek did the Blu-ray, I think it was MVD, they put effort into the release of Adventures. So it's like, what's the issue? What's the deal here, right? So what I decided to do is I went and rewatched Zeronizrak's video. And I rewatched it, and I paused at the section where he was showing the emails between Richard Anthony and Chris Johnson. So what I decided to do is take inspiration from that, and I went online and I looked around and I got every single email that I could get a hold of from Mill Creek from Mill Creek Entertainment to Alliance Entertainment, both who own Ncircle, or I'm assuming Alliance owns both Mill Creek and Ncircle. I got the emails from Alliance. I got the emails from Mill Creek. I got the emails from Ncircle. I got the emails from WildBrain that I felt were necessary to contact them, send them my video where I said, hey, Chris Johnson, SD can be put on Blu-ray. I sent them the video of Ncircle saying what he did. And I think I sent them another video. Yeah, I sent them the video I did on camera. I said, hey, Chris Johnson, you can do SD on BD. I sent them Ncircle's Z-Rant video on it. And I sent them the video I did, the week before, where I said you can put 90s and 80s shows on Blu-ray. I sent them those videos. And a message of, hey, basically saying at the end, hey, please do better. And I even put under the hashtag Discotek for Satam, Discotek for Sonic the Hedgehog, Discotek for Sonic Satam, Discotek for Sonic Underground. That's what I did. That's what I did. And you know what? Hopefully I will get a response soon. Hopefully. I mean, what's crazy is I got automatic replies because the offices are closed on the weekend. Okay, that's fine. But you cannot tell me that someone's not going to see that, and respond. And you know what's crazy? WildBrain, I think it's WildBrain, and Ncircle, one of their automatic replies said, hey, thank you for emailing us, but it might take a while because we have an increasing volume of emails from consumers or something like that, coming in that we have to answer. And you know what's crazy? If that is WildBrain, I'm not surprised that they have an overwhelming, volume of emails coming in from consumers. Because I guarantee you, I don't even have to speculate, I could guarantee you most of those emails are complaints about Ncircle and what the hell they're doing with their products. I guarantee you that's what it is. And hopefully what Ncircle does, well, not Ncircle, but WildBrain, I should say, hopefully what WildBrain does is they take Ncircle aside and say, hey, dudettes, we don't know what your philosophy is, but if you're going to treat our, licenses like this to the point that fans are complaining of how you're distributing them, maybe you don't deserve the license. Maybe you shouldn't be distributing our products. Maybe we should take our business elsewhere. And hopefully by saying something like that to Ncircle and Mill Creek and Alliance, hopefully they'll wake up and be like, oh, no, you don't have to do that. In fact, we've decided to make the announcement right now that we're going to put a lot of these shows on Blu-ray and we're going to make them look real good. I bet you anything, that if WildBrain meets up with Ncircle, Alliance, and Mill Creek and says, hey, you need to basically knock this crap off and start treating our licenses that we're giving to you to distribute with respect and the consumers with respect, or else we're going to take it away from you. And again, I would not be surprised if that changes their tone and be like, okay, fine, we'll fix this, we'll put them on Blu-ray, we'll see what happens. Because here's the thing. If Mill Creek and Ncircle are subsidiaries of Alliance Entertainment, and Ncircle is a subsidiary of Mill Creek, if you will, by extension, look at Mill Creek's website. They have some shows from the 70s and the 80s and even the 60s, live action, even animated, that they're putting on Blu-ray. Anybody hear the Rockford Files? Huh? You know, come on, seriously. If they could put the Rockford files on there, original film prints, obtained or not, or VHS masters obtained or not, then what's holding them back from doing Sonic Satam? I don't understand. Is it that hard to go to WildBrain and say, hey, can we have the original masters? Is it that hard? No, it's not. Is it that hard to go to Shout Factory if they have the masters still on file and say, hey, Shout Factory, can we license out your files for the show so we could put out a proper set? No, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. You see, what they need to understand, what they need to realize is as I've said before, and I'll say it again, we are in a time frame where everything that we thought at one time was not possible is possible. I mean, even Ncircle at one point didn't think SD on BD would be possible until he saw for himself, it actually happening. And he saw for himself by owning some of them that, picture quality could look a lot better. It doesn't have to be remastered or restructured, frame by frame. But hey, the technology in this optical disc, which is higher, better, and more powerful than a regular DVD, actually makes the picture look close to what it originally looked like when it first came out. The point is, long story short, the point is, it is possible to do this. I even said in a video I did yesterday, I said SD on 4K is even possible, and they know it. They know it. I mean, you know what's crazy? Ladies and gentlemen? I go to Mill Creek's website, I think it's Mill Creek's, and they have three videos ready for 4K release. Three classic things ready for 4K release. They have 3 ready for 4K release. Now they might be more recent, I'll give them that. But still, they have 4K release. And again, it just blows my mind. It just blows my mind that, that we're in this time frame where this can be done either on Blu-ray or 4K, and you have people like Chris Johnson coming out and saying nobody would care. Chris Johnson and anybody else that has that mentality, that's listening here on my podcast, listening on YouTube, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Have you seen Discotek's success? Huh? If Discotek wasn't successful at doing that, doing the SD on BD, do you think they'd keep doing it? Of course they wouldn't. Do you think after the first couple of failures, that they would continue doing it? No. They'd be like, oh, that's a losing cause, let's stop doing it. No, it is a successful cause. So for anybody that's believing that nobody would care about SD on BD or even SD on 4K, you got another thing coming. Because technology nowadays, is at that point where Blu-ray and 4K are the dominant formats. Yes, DVD is around. And the reason it's around is because a lot of players out there, a lot of 4K, Ultra Blu-ray players are backwards compatible with Blu-ray and DVD. And yes, as I've mentioned before, the technology has gotten to a point that when you put a DVD into your 4K Blu-ray player and it's connected to a 4K television, that yes, the image will be broadcast. It will be seen. It will be transferred, codeced, if you will, into 4K. That's right. I have a smart 4K TV, and it could easily say, oh no, this is 720 or 480p. No, it tells me, and I look at the display, it tells me it is that I am watching a DVD that was formatted in 720p, or 480p or whatever. It will show me that it is being showcased it'll show me that it is being showcased in 2160p. That's what it will show me. It'll show me that it's being showcased in 3420 by 2160p. UHD, 4K quality. Because the technology nowadays is there to where basically the connections, the HDMI and all that will send a signal, and the signal will transfer from its original source material to showcase what you're watching that's originally a lower format and resolution. It will transfer it to a higher resolution. And guess what? Chris, and anybody else that has this belief? When I put my original Shout Factory Sonic Satam DVD in there, one of the discs, and I look at that image, originally when I watched it on my Funya Blu-ray player on the JVC HD TV we have, when we first cut all that, guess what? It looked great. The Blu-ray player, new as it was, it still works great and everything, made the image look great. And in addition to helping it make it look great, the TV that was also meant for 1080p Blu-ray, like quality pictures and all that, it too made the picture look great. I even have images on my DeviantArt out there saying that same thing. And guess what? The same could be said for 4K. Because when I put that disc, one of those discs in there, and I played it, it looked tremendous. It looked great. And then with the added addition of being able to set the picture quality that you want, from standard to natural to movie to HDR, high dynamic, which is the required picture quality for 4K. It looked tremendous, especially in HDR. So do not tell me, do not tell anybody else that SD on BD or SD on 4K is not marketable, that nobody would buy it. Of course they would. Of course they would. Knowing that if they have a television or a monitor that allows them, picture quality wise, to choose HDR as an option, high dynamic range, that they would get the most out of that image. The thing is, and this gets me really pissed off. This is what really gets me pissed off, okay? Chris Johnson and others like him obviously don't know that fan bases, even from 30, 40 years ago, are still strong, if not stronger than they were then. They obviously do not realize that fan bases today have grown, from back then I should say, have grown substantially, even more so. And have added in the additions of a newer generation that came after them. Here's the thing. If people like me were not fans, would I have a poster? Would I have a poster-sized image of the Shout Factory cover for the original 2007 Shout Factory release of Sonic Satam? No, I wouldn't, but I have it. I have it. Would I have spent $250, of my own hard-earned money in a year where I was trying to save to come back to California from Kansas? Would I have spent that on eBay, prayed to the Lord above to make this happen, and kept an eye on eBay to finally end up successfully winning at the last moment an official Sega Sally plush from the Sonic and Sydney show if I wasn't a fan? Of course I wouldn't, but I did. Would I have 2 posters or framed poster versions of the reboot covers of 252 or 253 to 257? Huh? Would I have 284 to 287, if you will, for the finale of that reboot? Basically, that story arc for the reboot, collage-wise and all that. Would I have that? No. No, I would not have that. I would not have that, Chris. I would not have that for anybody else that believes the same thing. Would I have spent money back when I was in Kansas, took my time when I was out in Kansas to create my own DVDs of Sonic Satam, thanks to somebody, who I'm always thankful to, Rafaela XD, for, sending me, after I purchased them, all her VCDs that she had, or at least copies of the VCD that she had of Sonic Satam that she was selling? Do you think if I wasn't a fan or anybody else wasn't a fan at my age, at that time, even today, do you think we wouldn't have spent money to do that? No, we wouldn't have, but we did because we were fans. Do you think someone like me would go online to a Canadian entertainment store and get not 1, not 2, but all 3 Deke Toontime video releases of Sonic Satam on VHS? No, I wouldn't have, but I did. Do you think I would have stayed after work on that Tuesday that the Shout Factory release of Sonic Satam came out? Do you think I would have stayed after work at Walmart in Lawrence, Kansas for the midnight release of that show? Just to not spend money that I've earned working to get it? Of course I wouldn't have, but I did. I did do that. The point is, Chris, anybody else that feels the same way, the fan base of Sonic Satam, the fan base of any show back then, even in recent years, is stronger than you can ever imagine. It's bigger than you can ever imagine. People love freaking SWAT Cats and they want that back. And even the people behind SWAT Cats know it. And they themselves are doing what they can to bring it back. People behind Biker Mice from Mars, they heard the fans. Oh, they want Biker Mice from Mars back. Let's bring it back to them. And they did. And fans still want it back. And there are plans to bring it back again. I mean, even Wild West Cowboys of Moon Mesa. Fans loved that show. And they want to see it come back. And there's always these little Easter eggs, like in the 2003 animated series. There were Easter eggs. There were cameo appearances. Fans want that show back. You see what I'm getting at, folks? See what I'm getting at? The fan bases for all these shows I mentioned, but more specifically Sonic Satam, is there. The fan base is there. The fan base exists and it is stronger, bigger than it's ever been. And for people like Chris Johnson to come out and say, no one's going to care, if we put this at a higher quality, or nobody's going to care if we decide to put it on Blu-ray, nobody's going to buy it. For him to say that, for him to have the testicular fortitude, the balls, to say that. Obviously, he and others like him have not seen Discotek's line of successful SD on BDs. Because anytime they make an announcement during the Media Day little events, guess what? Anytime they say a show that fans love, fans grew up in the 80s with, in the 90s with, the early 2000s with, even the 70s, that's animated, when they say, oh, that show, we'll bring it to Blu-ray. We're going to bring it to Blu-ray. We're going to add all this and all that, and it's going to look a lot better than the previous releases. When they come out and say that, they say that because they know that they are going to be selling these like hotcakes to the adult fans. The adult fans. I mean, they're nice. Look at his background. Okay, look at all those DVDs and Blu-rays he has, and some 4Ks. Some of those Blu-rays that he has are SD on BDs. Do you think he would have spent money if he didn't think it was worth it? No, he wouldn't have, but he did. Do you think Frank Hill, it's Frank, would have sent me and him SD on BDs of Sonic X and Adventures? You know, if he didn't think it was worth it? No, he wouldn't have, but he did. The point is, there is a market out there for this. As I've said on many occasions, and others have said on many occasions, there's a market out there for SD on BD. There's a market out there, believe it or not, for SD on 4K. And people like Johnson and others that think alike like him need to wake up and realize that. You want to make some money? You want your companies to be profitable? That's the direction you go in. That's the direction you go in. You don't go backwards. Look, nothing against DVD. If you want to keep DVD around, that's fine. Okay? You want to keep it around as an alternative, that's fine. You want to keep it around so that people have something to store their stuff on, a la computer, or you want to keep it around because maybe eventually you'll bring back the DVD recorders, that's fine. That's fine. Go ahead. Keep it. You know, you want to keep it around as an alternative, I should say, option for people? Go ahead. You know, keep it around. That's fine. But don't come around and say that Blu-ray and 4K, especially SD on Blu-ray and 4K, is not worth it, because it is. It is. And like I said in the previous video, I guarantee you Discotek is even considering that. They're considering it, and others that probably are, looking at Discotek's success with SD on BD, and going in that same direction. They're like, hey, maybe we should do 4K as well, SD on 4K. People are considering it, all right? They are considering it. So again, I do not get this mentality. I do not get it, and I'm hoping that mentality, that Chris Johnson and people like him, I hope it gets stifled. I hope somebody in Ncircle, in Mill Creek, at Alliance, at WildBrain, I'm hoping anybody that hears us out will talk to Chris Johnson and people like him and say, hey, first of all, you had no right being rude to our customers, and two, you should have at least given them a proper answer of, hey, we might consider it. It might be an avenue we could explore. That would have been more appropriate than saying nobody's going to care. Now, I know some people might say, well, maybe Richard Anthony caught Chris Johnson on a bad day. Maybe he did. But that's still not an excuse. Bad day or not, you're not supposed to be, ignorant to your fans. You're not supposed to be that, that rude to your customers, to your consumers, to your partners. So I'm hoping that with the emails that I put out there, I'm hoping WildBrain, someone in the higher ups at WildBrain, someone in the higher ups of Ncircle, Mill Creek, Alliance, I hope they hear us. I hope they see what's happening. And I pray they take care of this. And I'm hoping Discotek, because I even contacted them through the contact form, email and the message and everything. I hope they too realize, hey, we can help fix this. We could do better. Because you know what? The time for this arrogant, overseeing, and basically not caring attitude of, oh, that wouldn't work. Guess what? We have seen in the past several years, if not decade, that just when you say something won't work, it does. So hopefully that changes. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment down below, live chat during the premiere, like the video, and I am out. You know, to follow up on that long little rant and also talking about the fact that I basically used every email contact that I could find that I feel will help out. And I even sent those email contacts over to Richard Anthony and even Jacob Berkeley of Sonic Satam, the complete, Satam historian, I should say, and even Zara Nizarak. I forgot to mention something. You see, when the Shout Factory release came out, I mentioned this, in the audio. I said basically that when I first put it into the Funye Blu-ray player that me and my mom have, when we first connected to our JVC HD, I mentioned in there, and again I have visual evidence of this. The picture quality looked great. It looked fresh. It looked new, if you will. And that's when we first got our HD TV. Now over time, it probably is kind of changed a little bit. Maybe the quality is not as good as it used to be, but I guarantee it'll still look better than what Ncircle put out. But the other thing I said is when I got my 4K Blu-ray player and I got a 4K television a couple years ago, one of the first discs I put in there was my Sonic Satam Shout Factory release. And the picture quality looked better than even when I first put it on the JVC HD. It looked better than I think it's ever looked, honestly. And true, this was a QLED, this was a QLED Samsung 4K television. Don't get me wrong. But it looked better than I think it's ever looked. Even when you use the HDR high dynamic range, it looked great. It looked great. Now, yes, as I mentioned, what's going on is basically the signal that's being transferred from the 4K Ultra Blu-ray player to the 4K television is, in a way, transferring and converting the signal to be 4K. It's not remastering the disc or anything like that. It's just transferring, the quality. It's just transferring the picture quality to make it seem like and look like it's 4K, and it looks great. It looks tremendous. But what I forgot to mention in there, and a lot of you guys know this, is I have, believe it or not, it's right here on YouTube as well. I have a DVD I put together, and it took me numerous times to finally get it right. But I have a DVD that I've talked to you guys about where it comprises of the final 4 episodes of Season 2, which I dub as the Doomsday Saga, or otherwise, because I put it together this way, the Doomsday Project movie. So, I did this on numerous occasions, and finally I got it right. Took my time, got it right. Everything works and looks nice. And here's the thing. You would think transferring it, because the Shout Factory DVD is actually recordable. You could actually copy it, believe it or not, onto another DVD if you have a DVD recorder or some kind of software. Anyway, here's the thing. I transferred it, basically. I copied it, if you will, took my time, got it all right. And when I put that DVD into my 4K player, when I put that into my 4K player on my 4K TV, guess what? That looked good. Yeah, that looked like it was new. That looked good. And I guarantee you, people that have seen it here on my YouTube channel, I think it's still here on my YouTube channel, people that have seen it, and people that have a copy of it that I sent it to, like Zara Ncircle, I guarantee you, they would agree that my Doomsday Project movie, thing that I put together is a lot better quality than what Ncircle put out. And that's saying something. That's saying something. And again, WildBrain themselves, as I've mentioned before, are actually upgrading a lot of those shows to 1080p on the YouTube channels, the various YouTube channels, including Sonic. And they look great. They do. And this Project AI 4K person is doing the same thing in widescreen and 4:3. And they look good. Like, there's nothing lost. There's no blurriness. So, again, to follow up on what I said in the previous one, and maybe I'll attach this and it'll be all in one video. But the thing is, for Chris Johnson to come out and say what he did, and others to kind of feel the same way, it's like, have you not watched YouTube thoroughly? Have you not searched, some of the things that I've mentioned to see if maybe, something like that is out there to give you a clue? Have you not seen the person that you're licensing the show from actually take their time and effort to clean it up and put it up to 1080p? Obviously not. Obviously not. But again, if my Doomsday Project thing could look good even in regular 360p, if you will, here on YouTube, and look good, from a physical media perspective, then what's the problem? What's the problem? I don't see no problem. I don't. So for him to come out and say that is very condescending and very arrogant. It obviously shows that he and others like him do not pay attention to what's going on in the here and the now. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say in this kind of follow-up or added on bonus, if you will. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. How do you feel about this? And until next time, I'll talk to y'all later.